Hello, true duelists. YGO Strats here, dooming my single card history video today because, as it turns out, a ban list dropped, and that means everything else gets put to the side. So sorry to the Zephyros video. You were pretty decent, but more importantly than that, mine is dead. Yeah, it's a good day in the Yu-Gi-Oh community. It's a good day to be a duelist because Mystic Mine is banned. What's that? People have chosen instead to complain on Twitter about how it's a bad list? Yep, it's ban list season. Yep, that's right, we're gonna jump right into it. It's time for yet another dude talking into a camera about cardboard he is no longer allowed to play. And so we'll start off with the things that instead we are allowed to play, but nobody really truly cares. Fire Formation Tenki went to 3. Fire Fist players rejoice. Tri-Brigade players rejoice. All 12 of them that comment online can have a great day, and we'll move on to the things that matter. Which don't include Metaverse, because with mine banned, I don't know what cares. That Metaverse is at 3. I'm sure some cheeky things will come of it, but really there's nothing that'll impact Metaverse's relevance quite like the existence of Mystic Mine. And Satellar Knight Ptolemaeus, which went to 3. Didn't do any of that preliminary limiting before putting it to 3, which is, I guess, nice because we all know it can go right to 3. It kills that section of my binder that features all the banned Xyz monsters, but really when they put Exciton back, that killed that section anyway. So cool, Tenki, Metaverse, Ptolemaeus, and honestly Recital Starling went to 2 as well. Bird Up was a good deck, maybe the best deck of a format once upon a time. It is no longer that time, and so these cards all coming back off the list in some capacity is completely irrelevant to me. We're going to talk instead about the things that are actually worth talking about in regards to this list. Namely, where are the hits to tiers? Where are the hits to Tearlaments? Non-existent, as it turns out. They did limit Herald of the Orange Light, which to me is frustrating because it just makes it all the more sacky if they open one of the Ishizu cards to mill and, you know, Herald, and then they get a negate and the mill 5, and it's like, cool. I didn't enjoy this matchup maybe, and now they've opened the Saki one of that, got them going off Jump Street on top of negating one of my monster effects. I love it. I love when I get the Saki one of to really throttle this duel into I'm fucktsville. That's slice me in, as we say, as we watch Saved by the Bell. This is a card, in my opinion, that falls into the 0 or 3. If it's at 3, I fully expect it, and I know it's gonna happen, and I can be bitter and salty or whatever, but at least I know it's gonna happen. When it's at 0, I don't have to deal with it anymore, but when it's at 1, it just becomes an annoying problem when it happens, and I'm like, cool. Just blown out of the game by a little bit of extra luck today, it would seem. And that's really that. On the plus side, its price should go down now, which means that maybe I can afford to play a retro format fairy deck. So, small victories, large amounts of copium, but small victories. That is really the only hit they did to Tearlaments deck. That one, you know the deck. Come on, that's the only real meaningful hit to the deck, and even then, I don't believe it was like necessarily the mandatory standard way to play the deck. I think some people opted not to play the Herald of Orange Lights. Could be wrong. Topping decks, I know I saw it quite often, but I don't know how well that went into everything at all capacities. The point being, it's a hit, but it's not a good one. I fully expected us to get more of the Nekroz slap of the wrist from like 2015, you know, where they semi-limited Brionac, and it's like, obviously this does nothing, but at least they did something. I expected one of the tier limit names to go to like 2. That was kind of my assumption when it came to an emergency ban list. Presumably it would be because this is an emergency and we need to fix things. But this didn't really fix things, I don't think. They didn't hit tiers. Instead, what they chose to do was they unlimited both Dimensional Fissure and Macros Cosmos. So, not only is Tearlaments the best deck and the only deck worth playing, but also now Fluonderies has even more Floodgate access. And just in general, there's more Floodgates in the game. It is a hilarious means to fix the format as they're trying to do, or at least you assume they're trying to do. I understand why they didn't hit the Tearlament cards and the Ishizu cards. They're brand spanking new, relatively speaking, particularly the Ishizu cards. They aren't even like a month old at this point. No, they're not going to get on the ban list. Like I said, I kind of assumed we'd get the worthless, like, semi-limiting of, like, Havness or something for the courtesy of, like, well, we know, but we're not doing anything. Not even that. Instead, Dimensional Fissure and Macrocosmos are at 3. The Flu matchup just got probably worse, right? I mean, it just is an extra added layer of salt. I've seen it pointed out that the Flu tiered deck was not a trap card away from being relevant because the Harpy trap card probably has more impact on the game than Macro will, broadly speaking. Monster effects are pretty important, or at the very least they're comparable in their strength and ability to end a turn type of thing, to the point that if that was all Flu needed, they'd already be at that level. There's plenty of good or broken trap cards that the deck has access to. DeFi and Macro aren't going to be that which breaks it. That's small compensation for someone who doesn't want to have to deal with Floodgates. I don't know many people who are fond of Floodgates. The most common take I hear in favor of Floodgates is like comparable to the takes on hand traps, and that they're a necessary evil relative to the game. And I think most people can agree, if there's a problem with the meta, you should hit the problem with the meta. If it is a problem that Tear Shizu is the best deck, then you should hit Tear Shizu, right? Just makes sense. Doesn't make dollars, which is why Konami does what they've done and not hit Tear Shizu, but it makes sense. And then there's the bannings. You have Curious, the Lightsworn Furious, I don't know its name, and Mystic Mine, which are hits that people wanted 4-ish months ago. I think they're about a format or two late at this point. Curious was a reasonable hit when Tearlaments was playing like Danger Tearlaments and there wasn't a definitive best version of the deck universally agreed upon. There were still variants here and there of what was being played, but Curious was a damn good card in Tears, and that was a problem, right after Power of the Elements dropped. At the same time, Mystic Mine burn decks were winning YCSs. Instead, we've gotten these hits now, as opposed to when people were harassing every Konami Twitter post and Instagram feed and everything, just harassing, just ban mine. Which, I guess I should be clear, I can support both of these hits. I'm sorry to Jake if you're watching this. This is the second time your Lightsworn deck has been smacked by the ban list inadvertently. That's Snow Curious and Chaos Ruler all dead. That's an oof. That's an oof and a half, my friend. But regardless, Curious is like a pseudo-Link version of Lavalval Chain, in that if it can just send any card to the graveyard at will, it's gonna be a problem. Beatrice is limited. It's still not good to come back to 3 in my opinion. Lavalval Chain is banned. It's not good to come back. And Curious is now banned as well, and it probably shouldn't have been here. I think you can make the argument. And then in regards to Mystic Mine, I don't know anyone who's complaining that Mystic Mine is banned. That is a fantastic thing to have happen in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is ban the mine. Mystic Mine sucks to play against, and it sucks to watch, and it's not fun. So it's good to see it gone. My opinion is that Mystic Mine is banned here as the courtesy hit because they're not meaningfully hitting the Tearlament Ishizu deck. I think they're like, we're not hitting it, you're going to have to deal with it, but to make it up to you, we'll ban Mystic Mine. We'll give you that. We'll give you a little morsel of what you wanted a few months ago. I've seen it referred to as the Internet Explorer ban list because it's coming a little too late for what is relevant. That's really all there. That really sums it up beautifully, I think. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I don't really play in this format. I haven't been to a locals in a minute and a half, or at least since Magnificent Mavens dropped, and I have, limited interest in going to them because it's gonna be Fluwandereeze and Tearlament Ishizu. Like, I've only got my Swordsoul deck right now. I could play Fluwandereeze myself, but despite me making a video saying to play it, I actually don't care to play it all too much. It's just, I just like the artwork. If I'm gonna play a good deck, I'm either gonna play Sword Soul or I'm gonna finish the branded deck that I've kind of been trying to build after that stupid Mega Tin Pulse. But the point is, neither of these decks are fantastically strong against the current meta, and if I just want to get curb stomped, well, I don't. So I'm just gonna take this one out. I was hoping for a little bit more of a fake meaningful hit, like I've said now, Havness to 2, but c'est la vie. My guess is that this is the meaningless hit in regards to truly impacting the meta. Flu got a little bit stronger, kind of, by virtue of the Floodgates, and Tearshizu got a little bit weaker, kinda, by the limiting of Herald of the Orange Light, but this meta isn't changed. Tearshizu is still going to be the Tier 0 deck, Flu's going to be the only thing consistently topping besides it, and Sprite is also here, despite the fact that we don't talk about it. So, hey, maybe your blues are a little more affordable now though, huh? Small victories. We take those. No, I think the next ban list is what's going to actually be the meaningful one, whatever it might be. I couldn't tell you. I'm guessing another couple of months. March, maybe, at the earliest, is when they'll actually do a meaningful hit to Tearlaments in some capacity. I don't even know how you meaningfully hit that deck, though. I'm pretty sure the only way to get rid of Tearlaments is to just slaughter the deck entirely, which is a bit of a shame. Ideally, people should be able to play the deck they like, but it's like, what do you do when everything just enables everything that's going on? I guess you have to limit every name, right? Or something? Who knows? The only thing I'm willing to predict right now is that Instant Fusion is gonna fucking die. That card is dead in the water. It is not long for this earth. If you have them, sell them while they're high, or if you don't, wait to buy them when they're low for a retro format. I wouldn't recommend buying Instant Fusion though. Is that financial advice? No, it's just advice about your finances. It's a subtle but distinct difference. I don't know anything. Take everything I say with a grain of salt. I'm wearing a Lugia shirt and a tie. The tie doesn't match, but the lav mic looks better on it. And also this is a somewhat serious video, so there's the tie but the laid backness of it. I got back from work and I had to make a fucking banlist video, dude. That's what's up. That's what the fuck is up right now. So yeah, that's really all I have to say about it. Tearlaments is back, and now you can make Diamond against the tier limit matchup. Isn't that crazy? Just make Dweller instead. Don't waste your time. And that's all there is to say. Tier's still the best deck, so exactly. That's it. That's the end of the video. The green screen's giving up, so am I, and I can't wait for the next ban list when I can make a million pog faces about how they banned Manju of the 10. That's fuck this joke. Video's done.